Welcome to the Think Small podcast, hypergrowth for small businesses. So, what's slowing you down?
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Think Small podcast. My name is Rob Godlewski, your podcast host today. And with us today, our special guest is Jack Terrill. Jack is the executive director of the Wentworth Economic Development Corporation, or WEDCO, in New Hampshire. Jack, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm excited to have a good conversation, Rob.
Absolutely. Well, listen, to get started, Jack, tell us how you got started in this line of work, and then with WEDCO specifically, and tell us a little bit about what WEDCO does and how you support the small and mid-sized businesses in New Hampshire.
Yeah, I'm not sure how this all happened, but that's okay. WEDCO, our mission at WEDCO, which operates sort of in the Lakes region of New Hampshire, for those of you who might be familiar with our geography. The mission is to advise, finance, and promote the small business sector in our region where we operate. And we are a very rural area. And so we came about, these EDCs, Economic Development Corporations, came about in the early 90s, I think, as sort of boots on the ground to get investment into the rural areas. And so we were very much a functioning tool for USDA rural development. They would loan us money, and in turn, we would loan it out to sort of try and create a healthy and vibrant small business economy. And if you're familiar with our area, it's almost all small business. So, it's just that's the nature of rural New Hampshire. So that's how we came about. I had never loaned money in my life. I had spent half my career in for-profit in heavy highway construction, and then another big chunk of my career running nonprofits. And I was in Florida at the time, but wanting to come back north, and this opportunity came about, and a couple former board members of my United Way that I ran reached out to me and said, "Hey, you ought to check this out." And so I did, and I ended up doing it. And I can tell you that I really, really enjoy the work. I'm absolutely committed to the concept that if you really want to strengthen economies, there's no better way than creating wealth through ownership. And we're here to sort of get these folks, these entrepreneurs, people who want to start a business, and perhaps don't quite fit the traditional financial institution model. And there's a lot of that. And we have to remember, banks aren't the bad guys. They have rules that they have to follow because they have stakeholders and stockholders, and there's certain things they can and cannot do. And we're here to sort of fill that gap. So if there's a disqualifying reason for the entrepreneur not to get traditional financing, then let's talk, and maybe we can overcome that risk and get you going. So that's why we're here. That's why we're here. So it's a very cool thing to be doing.
So Jack, tell the podcast audience, what types of businesses in your area come to you for help? I'm sure it's a wide range.
Yeah, it is, and a lot of the times it's the banks that will come to us and say, "Hey, listen,
interesting. That makes sense.
We have this project. I can only get the loan review committee at the bank to go this far on the project. Mm-hmm. Will you step in and be the gap financer?" And so we do a lot of that, and I think it's a very, very powerful, our most powerful tool for economic development, because if we don't step in, and if we don't take that secondary and tertiary position on collateral, then that bank is not going to unleash that capital into the economy. So by us taking more risk, taking a secondary position, but providing that capital, which most entrepreneurs are cash poor.
Sure.
By us doing that, we've just had but we've leveraged a big amount of money out of the bank and got it into the community. So that's where a lot of that comes. We recently got a fella who was, in the corporate world and wasn't particularly satisfied, and his father had an old farm up in a very rural mountainous area, and his dream was to get the farm working again and raise goats and Australian shepherds. And so no bank was going to do that. All right. But we liked it. We liked it because how cool is it to create farms rather than destroy farms? So, we learned about Nubian goats. We know more about Nubian goats than we ever
I've never heard of Nubian goats. That's fascinating.
They're the best. If you're going to get a goat, get a Nubian goat. Trust me on that one.
Well, you already had me at Australian Shepherd because I'm
and that's very successful. Right now, so. They're very popular, and they're quite a dog, and so he breeds them, and so it was there was plenty of risk in that, but there was also a lot to like.
Sure.
I got somebody who wants to open a curated toy store in downtown in Wolfboro, and there's there's the auto repair people that didn't they were doing their work out of their garage behind the house, and they have 3 or 4 young kids, and they were ready to grow. They just couldn't get there. They wanted to put up a shop, and so we were there to do that, and they weren't going to qualify for traditional financing. So it really runs the gamut. It's all over the place, which makes it very interesting.
So, but definitely a rural community, like you said, and I'm sure you have a very seasonal aspect to your business, right? There's a lot of seasonal, homeowners coming up to their lakes maybe for the summer, or tourists coming in for small shots in the summer.
It makes for I'll call it challenging environment at times. I can say that everybody breathes a sigh of relief when the ice goes out of the lakes, right?
I can imagine.
What it means is they made it. They made it through the winter,
right?
And then you start praying for just an awesome summer. So it's it does two, it does several things. One is it provides challenges for those that are running a business. They better be on top of their cash flow. They better understand that they might run in the red for 4 months in the cold months, and then make their money in the warmer months.
Sure.
So you have to be very, very aware of that. On the other hand, we're a tourist area. People flock here. They love the Lakes region. We have a tremendous amount of Massachusetts people that come up and are in the area. So by being that sort of tourist place, we attract a lot of business, a lot of potential business to our doorsteps. So my office is in Wolfboro. Nobody's heard of Wolfboro, but it sits on Lake Winnipesaukee, and all summer long and all fall, don't forget about the leaf peepers. All fall.
Oh, sure.
All fall, these buses roll into Wolfboro and unload their people who are the sort of demographic that loves to spend money, and they're unleashed on the main street of Wolfboro for 2 or 3 hours, and then they go away. So there's a lot of advantages too, if you have the right business.
Okay, so you mentioned earlier that that you do some advising to these entrepreneurs in getting their business started. You're a partner with the banks. I like the fact that you said that the banks aren't the enemy.
No, not at all. Not at
So
all.
you partner with those banks to get the total financing that's needed for these entrepreneurs. Do you also sometimes take a position in the organization that you're funding in order to get them started, or is that not part of your charter?
Well, that's interesting that you would bring that up, Rob. I mean, that is on the table for discussion.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Should WEDCO take equity positions? And I can say that in general, WEDCO, if we are going to be as impactful as we can be in the area, which I want us to be an impactful organization, has to get real creative about financing projects, and
Mhm.
because we have two loans with the USDA. There's no guarantee, and we've already burned through that money. It's already out in the community. It's working.
Okay.
Is there a third loan from USDA? I have no idea, and I can't depend on that. So we have to create inflows of capital, and in order to do that, it does not have to be public money. It doesn't have to come from USDA. It can come from private individuals. It can come from foundations. But right now, a challenge that we have is bringing enough capital in so that we can be impactful. And so we have to get creative on how we're going to attract capital or how we're going to go about our business. And that is, equity position is certainly one discussion that the board will be having.
Well, I certainly didn't mean to introduce a controversial subject to this podcast with you, Jack, but I do see it, right? Businesses need to identify their streams of revenue, and if this is a potential stream of revenue that WEDCO could be using in the future, I just thought it might be interesting to talk about. But it is also interesting that you're thinking about that as an option for a stream of revenue right now with your board. So I'm
I
sure the
mean,
messaging to entrepreneurs would be much stronger if you, the Economic Development Council, would say, we not only want to loan you money, Mr. New Entrepreneur or Mrs. New Entrepreneur, we want in. We want to be part of this business.
so even if it isn't WEDCO that's the
Mm-hmm.
equity partner, but we go out and we say, hey, we have an opportunity here, and we attract somebody who has the capital and is sitting there and likes the concept, then maybe WEDCO doesn't benefit directly from that,
Okay.
but the economy did. And we're all we need to do is keep the lights on here. So, the way we operate is any principal that comes back to us from loans goes right back out into new loans in the community,
Sure.
right? So we'll take a portion of interest, we'll take a portion of interest to keep our lights on, but our work in the community is perpetual because
Mhm.
providing that we don't do a whole series of bad loans, in which we have no bad loans right now.
Fantastic.
It's going to have a perpetual impact on the community for 100 years or more, right?
Right.
So that's a message I have, or a message I want to get to the private individual and foundations. Your gift, your support is perpetual. Yeah, whereas they're giving to other things might be an annual gift. This gift will keep performing long, long after we're gone. And
Sure. Sure. Literally the gift that keeps on giving.
yeah, it is. It really is. And I was in the United Way, and so I know a little bit about gifting and impact on communities.
Mm-hmm.
And quite frankly, I don't know of a product that's more powerful this investing in the local small business.
Interesting. So what kind of challenges have you had with maybe when periods of periods of the economy where things weren't as strong as you would like, or your entrepreneurs or your small businesses would like? How did you navigate the community through those times and kind of get them out of that period? I can imagine, the economic downturn of 2008 to 2010 probably was maybe a challenge. Certainly COVID, was economically challenging to lots of businesses. But tell me about a time when that happened to the community and how you navigated out of it.
Well, I can't really. I was in Florida during COVID, and we didn't shut down
Okay.
there. So I've only been doing this for 3 years, so
Okay.
I haven't seen a large economic seismic shift. I can say this. I think the biggest challenge I had when I got here is we had a lot of money sitting in the bank, and I tried to figure out why that was the case. And in the end, the board was being too conservative. The board was thinking
Hmm.
like a bank. And so my challenge was to get the board to realize that we are not a bank, and that
Right.
we need to understand that we're here to take on additional risk. And that thinking sort of freed up this willingness to invest with entrepreneurs, and so that was an interesting little challenge. But by adopting the mantra, "We're not a bank," um, we have gone in a few years, and we're just a little operation, but we've gone from like $600,000 of loans of a loan portfolio when I got here, and now we're up around 2.5 million. And it's, which WEDCO has more impact, the $600,000 loan portfolio or the $2.5
Right.
million portfolio.
Right.
So that's been our focus, and I I don't relish a seismic change in the economy, but if it did occur, as it always will from time to time, I think the fact that we're invested in small businesses, and the people that live here are invested in their small bit, going to
Hmm.
small businesses. I think we're a little bit insulated from. It's not like the housing market, or we're building spec housing or anything like that. We're uh, we're supplying a market demand, and so I think we're a little insulated. I hope.
Well, I think WEDCO is very happy that Jack Terrill arrived 3 years ago to get some of that capital deployed back into the community, because I mean that's your charter, right?
Yeah.
And your charter is to not be like a bank and to fill those gaps where banks fall short for whatever reason. So I
Yeah.
I applaud you for your efforts. That's great. I mean, 600,000 to 2.1 million is incredible.
It's and there's as you brought up earlier, there's an advise piece to this. So we don't want to
Mhm.
just chunk money out. A lot of people have great ideas, but a lot of people have no idea how to build a business plan and then how to follow that business plan. So not only do we want to get money out into the community, but we want to raise the collective business acumen that is operating,
Sure.
right? And so we work with the Small Business Development Center a lot. And I would say 95% of our loans have have been generated by Small Business Development Center's approved business plan for that entrepreneur. So
Okay.
if they come to me and say, "Hey, I'm looking for $50,000 to do this. Do you have a business plan?" And if they do not, then I say, "I want you to go talk to an advisor at Small Business Development Center. The services are free, and you're going to learn how to write a business plan and how to do a
Mhm.
3-year projection. Then you come back to me and say, hey, I'm looking for $50,000.
Right.
So it's a very important piece. We don't want to set people up for failure. We want to set them up to create generational wealth if we can do it. And so it doesn't do anybody any good to operate for 4 years and then shut the doors. We're trying to ensure that their children will have a job in the business and their children, and that's really when you've hit a home run.
So do you keep stats, Jack, on business tenure? And I guess the follow-up question to that is, how long or how old is the oldest business that is supported by WEDCO?
Well, we came into existence in 94.
Okay.
94. There are
Over 30 years.
Yeah. So we're 33 or however old we are. There are 33-year-old businesses that are still doing business. So we've done
great.
Well, it's not things don't move real fast in rural New Hampshire, right? So if you're a restaurant and they came to us in 94 because they wanted to expand the kitchen or whatever it was, and you serve good food and your family has taken an interest in that business is going to stick around.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere. Loyalty is huge up here. And
I'm sure.
and that includes customer loyalty. And if you put out the product that people feel is a good deal for the money being asked, and you manage your business properly and have a bookkeeper and understand the importance of that, there's no reason for you to go anywhere.
So I love that you said that, and I love the fact that the benefits you provide the community don't come for free. I love the fact that you need a business plan, and you're teaching people, to your earlier comment about the seasonality of your area. You need to teach people how to navigate those restaurants or those auto mechanic shops through the Januaries and Februaries of your year that don't have a lot of the tourists coming around. So that's a big part of it, and that's a complexity I think that a lot of businesses just don't have to deal with if they don't have that such drastic seasonality. So that's a very important part of longevity to a business in your community.
It is, because if you don't know how to do that, then you're going to lose help. And if you are trying to find help, you're in trouble. So the successful businesses in the area, particularly the restaurants, hospitality, they have the same workers. The same workers have been there forever. They may be part-time, it may be a second job to help with the first, but they've been there forever. And so you need the ability to suck it up in the winter so you don't lose that good help and think you're going to replace it in May. It's not going to happen. And so that's a challenge. But it's, we can structure loans so that it's interest only in the cold months, right?
Okay.
And then pick it up when their cash flow picks up. We can do that. I prefer not to, because I think it creates a false world for these folks. But
okay, that's fair too.
I'd rather see them just figure out how to do it. But we can do that. We can and have done that. So
as a 501c3 nonprofit organization, you have some flexibility to get very creative with your loans to entrepreneurs or your gap loans, to support, some bank financing. So you mentioned interest only during the winter. What are some other creative ways you've structured loans for your entrepreneurs?
I haven't had to be real creative. Most of what I've done in the last 3 years have been pretty pretty solid.
Standard?
We put somebody in business for horse riding, trail riding.
Okay.
We've done some pretty adventurous lending, but haven't had to be. There is some out there that are interest only. You can do the balloon payments, right? You can do, all right, we're going to do this for 5 years, and it'll be a lower number, a more manageable number, and there'll be a balloon at 5 years. But the idea is that these folks have operated for 5 years. Now they're much more attractive to a bank because they have 5 years of operation. The balloon is due in the 6th year or whatever, and they just go to a bank and refinance at that point.
Yes.
And now they are in the system. They are in the traditional financial system. And if we can do that for people, if we can get them to that, then that's huge, right? Because our typical client is underserved by traditional financial institutions for whatever reason.
Right.
So really our goal is, okay, over the next 5 years, not only do we want you to have a successful business, but we want you to take our loan and refinance with a traditional bank. And you're golden. We're on your way.
It's Jack. It's I like to watch these shows on TV that talk about small businesses. The Shark Tank on CNBC, and also there's The Profit with Marcus Lemonis. And those shows, I think, really bring reality to the entrepreneur who wants to get into a business. So, like things like having a business plan, which you help them with. What are your revenues? What are your costs? What are your gross margins? What's your process? How do you hire your people, et cetera? I think that's done a lot for the entrepreneurial community in general. But obviously, the things that you're doing in the Economic Development Corporation there in New Hampshire is helping a ton too on a very hyper local basis. What is the next, whatever your forward planning cycle look like, right? Whether it's 1 year or 3 years or 5 years, what does the near term future look like for WEDCO?
Well, I am working on our business plan for year from 28 to 31. So we're in the midst of business plan 25 to 27.
Okay.
That plan was a focus on sustainability. What is the magic number of our portfolio that we get to that number and we can say we are now sustainable as an organization. The region doesn't have to worry about us going under. And so that's our focus right now. Now, where do we go 28 to 31? I think I don't know. We're working on that. But the answer is we're going to deal with questions. How do we create a more steady inflow of capital, which we touched on earlier? That's going to be a big part of it. So by 28 to 31, we're going to be doing things that we've not done here before, all in the name of you give us the money and we will get it invested into the small business economy, but it's getting the money to invest. So that will be a focus there. We want to move away. We appreciate our partnership with the government, with USDA.
Of course.
But we want to move away from that and create a better and more vibrant relationship with private capital. And we think we have the product to do that. So that'll be a lot of focus in 28 to 31. And we need to look, there's 8 EDCs in the state of New Hampshire. That's how they structured it when they started back in 93 or whatever.
Okay.
Well, do we really need 8 EDCs? Or can we restructure the EDC system statewide so that
Oh,
we're going to have to address that because WEDCO is very small. It's me and a part-time employee.
okay.
Right? And so, sure, we're fine and we're doing great, but you don't have a succession plan in place because so how do we deal with the issue of succession, right? And so I think that's part of this 28 to 31 plan, because at some point I'm gonna retire. All right, so what happens? Do we seek a new executive director, or do we seek a partnership with an existing EDC?
Mm-hmm.
Those are big questions. We want to make sure that we're the most impactful we can be for our region, and what does that look like? And so we got some big questions out there, and that's sort of what we're trying to address right now.
Well, it sounds like you've got that's a much more complex plan than what you're currently living in as far as just a sustainability plan, right?
I like the sustainability plan. This other one is starting to give me headaches.
I'm with you. You went from one mission to 3 missions in a new plan, right? You want to leverage your growth. You want to find new streams of revenue, and you need a succession plan. No problem, Jack.
But that's, that to me, that's my fiduciary responsibility to this 501c3. Right. And it's, I wish I had an executive vice president who's, going to follow me when I retire. I don't have that. That's not who we are.
That's right. That's right.
So,
but you know what I love about that comment for the benefit of our podcast audience is that these are the challenges that small and mid-sized businesses tackle all the time. And if they're not, they should be, right? You need to be always thinking about a future planning scenario. What does business look like in 3 to 5 years? And if it's that different, how are we going to pivot to those changes? Or where do we want the business to be? And how do we integrate those changes ourselves before something changes us? And Jack, you're taking the latter approach, which is absolutely what I think you and any forward-thinking entrepreneur should be, and that's to tackle your own future, and including does the organization look differently than it does today?
Right. It's fun in a way, but it's also it's not easy, and so any of the people that we've loaned money to hopefully have that sort of one eye thinking about what does this look like? Am I passing this on to family members, or am I going to try and build as much value as possible and sell it? And so that should be the part of any business owner's thinking. You don't want to take your eye off today because that's where your business is, but you do have to have some inkling of where you want to take this thing that you've created. And are you ready? Will you be ready to let it go to somebody else because they're going to do it differently and it's your baby?
Right.
And so you have to deal with all that stuff. But that's the forward stuff. The here and now is good. It's interesting. It's my job to make sure WEDCO's around for many, many years and is as impactful as it possibly can be. That's my job.
Yeah. Well, Jack, I'm sure the people in rural New Hampshire appreciate your focus and your activities in the region. It's been really great chatting with you this morning here on the Think Small podcast. Again, Jack Terrill, the executive director of the Wentworth Economic Development Corporation in New Hampshire, or WEDCO. Jack, thank you so much for your time today. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Rob, thank you. I could talk till I'm blue in the face about small business. Very interesting stuff. So thank you.
Well, I tell you, the next time I'm in New Hampshire, I'm gonna look you up, and I'm gonna go see your customer with the Australian Shepherds. I think that'd be fun.
It's a long ride into the mountains, but we can do it.
Sounds great, Jack.
All right.
All right. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Welcome to the Think Small podcast, hypergrowth for small businesses. So, what's slowing you down?